Hello YouTube, it's Sign here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing our monthly ramble video for the month of January 2022. Today, we're going to be talking about multilingual manga collections and, what kind of interesting things happen with having one and stuff like that. So, just in case you guys are new to the channel, a ramble video is basically me just talking about something off the top of my head. It's really not that different from my regular videos. However, I actually don't structure this video at all. I don't think about it beforehand. I don't write anything down. My other videos usually have, notes that I follow, that I kind of try to use as a guide. This one doesn't have anything. It's just literally off the top of my head, just whatever comes to mind, I'm going to say, right? And the point of these is supposed to be a lot less editing work. I'm not going to try to, minimize the amount of ums and pauses that I do. I'm not going to try to do any of that. So, yeah, I didn't have a TBR video this month because I didn't find a place for it, but I definitely wanted to start my ramble videos this month because I think ramble videos are more interesting than most of the stuff that I usually do on the channel because they're purely opinion based, and that's a lot more kind of like fun. Like all of my reviews are opinion based, but I try to look at them a little bit more objectively, right? I'm trying to see, why this story works for me and why this other one doesn't. And it's a lot more like thought process filled than, ramble videos. So there you go. Today we're going to talk about owning manga in multiple languages in your collection. Now, why would you do this? Well, I think there's a few reasons why you would want to do this. If you're bilingual, it might be an interesting way to connect with the languages that you know, well, I said bilingual, but I meant, any amount of languages, right? If you know more than one language, if you know more than English, it might be an interesting way to connect with the other languages that you know, right? This is actually why I started collecting manga in Spanish. If you guys don't know, I'm Mexican. I grew up here in the United States, and well, I know Spanish. In fact, I would probably say I know Spanish much better than most other people that are my age that grew up here in the U.S. as well, due to the fact that my parents were very adamant about me not forgetting Spanish. However, I don't really practice Spanish very often in the case of reading and writing. I mostly just talk in Spanish. And yes, I'm pretty able to, understand and move in the language, but I don't have the fluidity that I do in English, right? So I chose to start buying manga in Spanish because I wanted to be able to pick up and develop my reading my reading skills in Spanish without having to jump into much more adult and more kind of like fancily written books, because in Spanish, at least in Mexico, where reading isn't really an activity that most normal people do, but rather it's kind of a activity that only particularly rich people kind of enjoy. The way that stuff is written is a lot different from the way it is here in the United States. Here in the United States, even if it's like a rich person activity, which I really don't think reading is in the United States, most writing is written in a way that like the lowest denominator is able to understand it. That's not really the case in Mexico. And so I don't really enjoy reading in Spanish all that much. But manga really doesn't really have that problem, because most of the language in manga from Japan is already like for easy understanding. So there really isn't much they can do to kind of like make it fancy sounding. So that's why I like manga as a reading practice thing for Spanish, right? So that's one major reason why you might want to own a manga collection in multiple languages. The other one is really that there's editions that are much better in other countries than they are here in the United States, right? So, of course, everything comes from Japan in terms of manga, but, some editions might be better in other countries, right? The US really doesn't have any very meaningful special editions to anything. The only thing that Americans do is just throw a hardcover on it and, call it good. There very rarely is anything special. It hasn't been until recently that, we've been getting variant covers and stuff like that in for manga. But it's not really the case in other countries. In Spain and in France and in Mexico and in Argentina and stuff like that, it's very common for manga to have little extra things added to it, right? So, should I illustrate this? Should I show you guys? Okay, so let's look at Dorohedoro Volume 1. This is the Mexican edition. Of course, it's a small size because they publish it in the... I don't think that the Japanese one in this case is actually B6, but this is the size that Mexico published in most of their stuff, B6. It's a very standard manga size, and it's different from the American one because the American one is the Viz signature size, but this one has a very nice 3D texture on the pages. It has this kind of scale pattern, and of course it has a dust jacket. It has a nice, what's called, image on the actual paper of the book, and of course it has a bookmark. So there you go. In that case, it's a nicer edition because it has little gifts and little extra things. This one also happens to have colored pages. This one is a plastic kind of comic book style page, and they also have pages that are more like directly printed on. Like if you've ever read the Shonen Jump 2-in-1 All You Need Is Kill collection, like they have color pages that are literally just the paper with ink. So there's two different types of color pages here. There's, you know, this additional special thing, and of course the bookmark. And this is common across a lot of different editions in a lot of different countries. So there's a second reason why you might want to have manga in different languages. The most interesting one, I think, for most Americans would probably be the Mexican edition and the Argentinian and Spanish editions of Yu Yu Hakusho, because they have some very, very nice like coloring to them. And the Mexican one comes with a bookmark and it has color pages. You know, there's a lot of good stuff there. I have a video talking about the Yu Yu Hakusho Mexican edition on the channel, so you guys can check it out. I think it's the July manga haul from 2021. So, you know, check it out if you want to see that. Or on my Instagram, there's pictures of it as well. But basically, there you go. That's two reasons why you might want to have multiple languages in your manga collection. The third one, and I think the most important one, is that sometimes there's things that are not available in English that you still want to support for either, you know, just the purpose of supporting a mangaka, or as a way to kind of support the mangaka and be able to read scans guilt-free. Because, you know, I mean, some people are affected by the guilt of reading scans. Some people really don't care. But if you're the type of person that wants to read a certain series, but you still want to monetarily support the mangaka that makes it, you might choose to buy the manga from Japan and then read the scans once you've acquired the manga. A lot of big manga tubers do this, and it actually works pretty nicely. But in the case of like buying manga from other countries, you might want to do it because they have a story that you want that is like not available in your country. In this case, or from my case, there's quite a few of those. So if you guys can see right there, that's Mary Grave. That's not available in English. I don't think it's available anywhere outside of Japan except Mexico. And so I bought it. It's only five volumes. So there you go. There's also Origin right there, which is Boichi's last work besides Dr. Stone, the most current one that he has finished. It's not available in English either, so I bought it from Mexico. There's Sunken Rock, which I bought from Spain, and I don't have it yet, but it is coming. It's here in Texas already. It's not at my house yet, but they have it, and I really want to read more of Boichi's work, and since Mexico didn't have it, I just bought it from Spain. So there you go. That's 3 reasons why you might want to own a manga collection that has, you know, multiple languages in it. But what does this actually mean in terms of like collecting? I don't think it really is all that different from just owning one in a single language, whether that is your native English or your native, you know, whatever other language that you speak, you know, Japanese or Korean or French or whatever. I don't think it's really all that different, except for the fact that, you know, buying manga from international, you know, stores and stuff like that, it's a little bit difficult and it costs a little bit more money, but sometimes it might not even cost as much as you would think. Like, if I'm looking at the Sunken Rock from Spain, I got it for $23 from Book Depository, and it has 2 volumes in one, and it has a nice reversible cover. It has a lot of color pages. If that was published in English, it would probably be each volume, like single volume, cost $12 to $13 if it's a Viz signature, or $15 if it's a different type of Viz signature, or, you know, a Kodansha title or whatever, like the oversized ones, those cost about $13. So if you, add those two, 13 plus 13 is 26, that would still be more than $23 that I paid for the Spanish edition of Sunken Rock. So maybe it isn't really as expensive, right? So there you go. I think that it really depends on how you want to go about collecting manga. And I think that it really isn't all that different at the end of the day, but it is a little bit more exciting, at least for me. I'm a very big fan of multiple languages. I really enjoy this idea of being a polyglot. I really like the, interesting things that happen to you when you know multiple languages. Like the fact that sometimes you can't remember a word in any language that you know, and you're kind of like stuck there looking like an idiot because you're like, damn, this word is super simple, but I can't remember it. I think it's fun. There's also this idea that, you can communicate way better by knowing multiple languages, not just because you can talk to more people, but rather because you can kind of look at the world in a different way, because each language looks at the world different ways, right? And I think that's probably the most interesting kind of aspect here in terms of manga translation. Like, the way one manga is translated in one language might be completely different from the way it's translated in a different one. And that's kind of exciting and interesting, and it kind of really kind of highlights the fact that language is so interesting and complex, right? So that was me philosophizing about languages, I guess. But yeah, overall, I think it's really interesting. I really like it. I think it's a very cool kind of idea to own manga in different languages, right? Most American fans of manga and anime probably have manga in English and some in Japanese for, different reasons. But I think that it's really interesting to have manga in other languages that you might be able to understand and consume without having to read scans after you buy them, right? So I don't know. There's also some specific manga that I bought for specific reasons. Like, I bought Blade of the Immortal from Mexico for the very specific reason that this is not flipped. The English one, even though it has a very nice edition, both the regular and the deluxe hardcover edition are very, very nice. I like them a lot, but they have this major issue, which is that the art is flipped on them. So it reads like an American comic book. And to me, that made it really, really difficult to read. So I decided to pick up the Mexican edition, which is the traditional Japanese style in terms of our, reading direction. And that helped me a little bit. I don't think I still think that there's a confusion caused by the way that the language works, as in like the way that the language is written in Japanese being translated kind of affects how it sounds. So it's still a little bit difficult to understand, but it was a lot easier and it was a lot more enjoyable to follow the artwork when it's in the right direction, right? So I don't know. I think it's an interesting kind of situation to kind of be in, to have this ability to, enjoy manga in different languages. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all there is to it. I can't think of anything else to say that's really all that important. So let's see. What else is there to say? I don't know, like, I guess all that's left is to ask you guys, what you guys think about this. Like, do you think that you would buy manga in multiple languages if you had the ability to read these multiple languages? Or would you do it anyways, even if you don't have the ability to read multiple languages, for the specific reason of owning a specific series? Like Yagan, which is right there. It's written by by the guy that did Blue Lock. But, it's very unlikely that's going to get published in English. And, I bought it in Spanish. But there's a lot of different countries you could buy Yagan from. So would you buy that if you really like the series? Or would you just not buy it at all? I don't know. I think it's an interesting kind of question to ask people to see if they would or not. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what you guys say. So let me know down in the comments if you would have manga in different languages. And, if it would just be because you collect it, or if it would be to read it in that language. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I think that's all there is to it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Do all the YouTube stuff, please. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.